We're taking on Man United at Old Trafford tomorrow night, and we've got a debut on Hammer's Chat with Mordzs. Mordzs, thank you very much for joining me. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing well in general. As a United fan, we're up in the air. We're 50-50 sometimes. But in general, I'm doing very well, man.
Well, let's put the good stuff to one side. I want to focus on the United side first of all. How's your
Yeah.
season so far going?
I mean, it's a long story. Where do we even start? I mean, look, we started off the season, I say a bit shaky. Obviously, we lost, a few games earlier in the season, Grimsby, Arsenal, etc., City. And it was looking a bit bleak. And we kind of picked it up in the last, I say, 6-7 games, went on 5 games unbeaten, and we had a few good performances in there. For example, the Brighton game, the Sunderland game, and it kind of looked like, you know what, there's something there. There's something that we can work on and build on for the rest of the season. But, in typical United fashion, the it's very up and down. Some games we play very well, some games it's like, okay, we're back, we're United, and other games it's like, what's going on? For example, the Everton game, Everton went down to 10 men in the first 13 minutes, and we couldn't even create a clear-cut chance against 10 men at home. So those kind of games there kind of make you think, what is the plan? Do we have a plan to score goals, or is it just the look of the draw? Are we just getting good games because everyone this season seems to have to beat everyone else, and the season is very up and down for most teams. So I think in general, it's still a bit confusing in the sense of I don't really know how well United truly are. Some games, like I said, we can be very good, but other games, it's like it's on the head, it's on the edge.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I feel a bit like that watching you play. I feel like I'm almost watching last season's Man United with better players. So you've
Yeah,
got in
yeah,
Roma and Cunha, and then that's a significant improvement on what you had last season. And I think De Ligt's upped his game massively as well, which has helped. You've changed the goalkeeper. And I'm still unconvinced by what I'm seeing. In seventh, I think it's a fair reflection of what you've done so far this season. But I wouldn't be putting money on you being seventh at the end of the season based on what I've seen thus far. In regards to Ruben Amorim, he's come under from a lot of pressure since the minute he stepped foot at Old Trafford, really. What's your thoughts on him? Are you happy with Ruben Amorim, or are you unsure? What's your stance on the manager?
I mean, look, first of all, as a person, I love him. I think he's got a great character. He speaks very well. He has the United passion in him. You can see it when he speaks and on the touchline, etc. I love him as a person. Now, as a manager, for me, I always say, look, as great as you are as a tactician, it has to result in on the pitch. You have to be able to see the things that you're talking about on the pitch, or else it's just all words, it's all talk. And with Amarim, I mean, look, he's been in the job for a year now, just over a year, about 50 games. His win percentage is 33%. It's not great at all. There's managers that have been sacked for way less, or way more. Um, and for me, there's loads of different things that I can go into, that he does well and things that he doesn't go well. But I think the main thing is his adaptability. He seems to have a way of playing, and if he doesn't win that way, he doesn't care if he wins at all. And we've seen it plenty of times. I mentioned the Everton game. There's been other games as well where it genuinely feels like he will refuse to change the way he plays, or at least adapt it in a slight little way, if it means that he can actually go and win. And for me, as a manager, I want a manager that takes risks. I want a manager that will go to win no matter what, whatever he needs to do. If it means play 10 centre backs, if it means plays 10 strikers, if that's what it takes to win, I want a manager that does that. But with Amram, he's got a little bit of stubbornness where you can clearly see that if he wants to play it and win it his way, and if it's not his way, he doesn't want to do it at all.
Right, let me put you on the spot here, Mord. So 0 is you want him sacked. 10 is you absolutely love him and you're setting yourself up for the next Sir Alex Ferguson at Old Trafford. Where are you on the Amorim barometer?
I'm about 3. I've had this question before. I'm about 3. I don't want him. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, sack him. I've never been that kind of fan anyway. Just every day calling for his head. I've
Yeah.
never been that kind of fan. But if I'm just being honest and I'm looking at the results and I'm looking at how we're playing, it's hard to say that this is going to be the manager that's going to take us to the top. It's really hard to say that, especially when you look at other managers and for other teams that I look at someone like even Arteta. Arteta's an example of a player of a manager who it's taken him 6 years now to the point where if he doesn't win now, he won't get. I don't think he'll get sacked, but there'll be big questions if Arteta
Yeah.
doesn't win. And it's only really now where people are like, okay, he's on the line. You know what I mean? And it's taken a while, but he's got his team to be able to play great football for the past 3 or 4 seasons. With Amorim, it's like, at what point do we look at the results and say, is he even close to getting to the point where Arteta will be at in 5 years? Like, is he even like 1% or 5% to the point where Arteta will be at in 5 years? I can't see the improvement in what he's done to this team. In fact, like I said, if you look at the results, we're worse now than we was before him. So it almost feels like we've gone back, and now we're trying to get back to where we was before we can go forward. And for that reason, that's why I'm more on the side of, I don't think he's the long-term manager for us. I don't know who is good at. I don't know who's good enough now. I haven't got any names, and people say, "Oh, who you gonna bring in if he gets sacked?" I don't know. That's not my job.
Yeah,
I'm just a fan. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But I can see when there's something wrong. You know what I mean? So I do. Yeah, like I said, I'm about a 3 out of 10.
Yeah, I completely understand what you're saying, which is he's not the guy for me, but I don't know who is. It's not my
Yeah,
job. I completely relate to that. It's something I've always sort of defended from a football fan stance. When you suggest you don't like that player, you don't like this manager, and you always get the, well, who do you want instead then? I said, yeah, but I don't know. I don't know all the managers in real football. What I do know is that guy ain't doing it, though. That's what
yeah.
I do know, because I watch him every week. I don't watch Spanish
Everybody else.
football weekend.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know who the next upcoming guy is, but people get paid at the football club to know who the next guy is. So
yeah,
that's their job. So I want him to do his job properly as well. So I
yeah,
completely relate to that as well. And I get what you're saying with Amorim, because while Ten Hag was far from perfect, he won trophies at Man United. And Amorim had his chance against a very poor Spurs side in Europa League and failed to win that as well. So the bar is low at the minute. I mean, MUNWHU is the lowest I've known it to be
yeah,
since I've been alive, really.
yeah, yeah.
So with that in mind, what do you consider to be a success this season for MUNWHU? What has to be achieved for you to go, do you know what, that was a good season? Because I think it's fair to say the title ain't happening. So how far down is your ambition at the moment?
For me, it's changed. It changes it based on how the season's gone so far. At the start of the season, I probably would have said, looking at the new signings that we've made, I kind of gave Amorim a clean slate. You
Yeah,
know, I said, you know what, it was difficult last season, but he didn't have a preseason, he didn't have any signings, etc. I gave him every excuse I could think of, and I gave him a complete clean slate. And I said, you know what, you've got some great new players in, new goalkeeper. Yeah, you had a new goalkeeper, but eventually had a new goalkeeper. I'm going to give it a clean slate. And at the start of the season, I said to him, I just want Europe. When I say Europe, not Conference League. Everything after Conference League, Europe, Europa League, or Champions League. That's my expectation. But now, when I look at the Premier League and I look at the way other teams are performing, I expect a Champions League. I'm looking at Champions League and I'm thinking that is realistically for Amorim and his team. They should be thinking that is a possible goal, because the rest of the teams in the Premier League are not convincing at all, in my opinion. No one, only Arsenal, the only team that I look at and think, if they lose, I'm shocked. If City lose tomorrow, or well, they played yesterday, but if they don't lose next week, I won't be shocked, because they
yeah.
seem to have this thing in them where they can just lose at any point. Chelsea have been on a pretty decent streak, but they're another team that if they lose, I just wouldn't be shocked, because every team seems to have the ability now to beat everybody else. So because of that, I think United should be able to take advantage, and a top five is possible. A top five is a possible thing that they can achieve. So if United were to get a top five, I'd say, you know what, that's a very good season for us. That's a good season.
Do you think you do it?
Really, if you ask me as a United fan, I'll say yeah. As a United fan, I want us to do everything. But from a non-biased point of view, just looking at our results, I'm struggling to even know if we'll beat you guys tomorrow or today, whenever this comes out. I don't know if we're gonna win that game. So I'm gonna say, I don't want to be a negative fan in it, but I'm 50-50. I'm gonna
Oh,
lean
yeah,
more to
honest. I
no.
want honest, negative, positive. It doesn't really matter. I want honesty. Whatever your honest answer is, that's what I'm seeking here.
Yeah, top five is gonna be. It's gonna be difficult in the sense of, I don't know if United can really pull out the bag and get these wins that they should be getting. Like I said before, the Everton game, the Brentford game, the Fulham game, like some of these games that we've not got all the points. I'm thinking we should be picking up points in all of these games, and we haven't. So I'm gonna look for this. I'm gonna look at the second half of the season. We should be able to go on a good run, or we should go on a good run anyway. But yeah, I'm gonna lean more to top five is gonna be difficult, so I'm not 100% sure that we're gonna get it. But like I said before, if we can get it, it's a success. It's a good season for United.
Obviously, historically, Man United, or since I've been around, you've always won titles and competed for titles, and you seem like a long, long way away from that at the moment.
Yeah.
Can you see yourself getting back to that, like up there competing with Arsenal, Man City, and Liverpool? And because at the minute Chelsea look closer to challenging for the title than you used to. What major changes? We've discussed Amorim, but off the pitch, do major changes need to happen there as well for Man U to get back on track to once again compete for the title?
Yeah, 100%. If you ask any United fan what is the actual main problem with United, they wouldn't say it's the manager. They wouldn't say it's the players.
Yeah.
They'll always say it's the foundations at the club. I feel like when Fergie left, we didn't realize how much power he really had at the club. It was genuinely a one-man club. He was holding everything together, literally everything together. And when he left, all that power got spread out between a bunch of different people, the Glazers, Ed Woodward, the manager, the players. The power got spread out between loads of different people. And I don't think since that point, it's really come back to the point where it's in control. And that's why we've seen loads of times where, for example, players feel like they've got power at a club. The players that come to the club with big names, big price tags, and they feel like they're a bit bigger than they probably should be. That wouldn't happen if Fergie was there because he would have the power. Same with managers. I feel like there's managers that have come in and maybe expected something that they weren't going to get because the owners had more power than them. And they wanted, like Jose Mourinho, he came in and later on he spoke about how he wanted certain players to come to the club, and he felt like there was a bit of a power shift between him and some of the players. That wouldn't happen, back in Fergie days, because Fergie had the power. He could do
Yeah.
pretty much whatever he wanted. So I feel like right now we are trying to get to the point where that control is regulated, and there is, whether it's the owners, Ineos, or whether it's the manager at Amorim, that power has to be regulated, and whoever is in charge has to be able to build a foundation of the club, which is a winning mentality. And right now, I don't think we have all the tools to have a winning mentality. We only just recently refurbished Carrington after about 25 years. It's been the same training ground since back in the day. So we need to build that foundation of winning. We need to build a foundation of control where everyone's on the same page, the same vision. The players, the managers, the owners, the coaches, the working staff. Everyone knows exactly what the plan is. And then when we get to that point, that's when I feel like we'll be back to the starting point of how we can go and dominate from that point forward.
That's a good answer. I like that answer. Right, from your team to my team, what do you make of West Ham?
You know what? This season, I'm not gonna lie, I've not been following you a lot, but I've been looking into you recently because we're playing. Obviously you got Nuno. I know our past, meetings. You have had our number. You have had our number. I remember last season. I think you beat us 2-0
Yeah.
away. And the reason I remember that is remember Aaron Wan-Bissaka got an assist, and I've been a big Wan-Bissaka advocate from when he's at United. And when he left, I thought, you know what? Fair enough. You're probably gonna get more game time over there. He was competing with Dalot. Dalot was doing really well. And I'll be honest, he played way better last season than any of our players. He probably could have walked into our team because of the way he was playing for you guys last season. But I think in general, West Ham, you guys are struggling. Let's be honest. I think you're about 17th, maybe 16th, 17th. And maybe the last three or so games, you've been all right. But I always look at a team like West Ham and think they're the kind of team that if we're playing them at home, I expect a 3 points. Regardless, I expect whoever the manager is, I expect a 3 points. Obviously, you guys have sacked a manager so far this season, and I do like your manager though. Nuno, I really like him. I liked him at Nottingham Forest. I think the way how he got the best out of all the players over there, Ilanga, Hudson-Odoi, Ole Aina, the defenders, Murillo and even Elliot Anderson and Chris Wood, he really got the best out of the players that he had, and he turned some of these players into £50 million signings, etc. Some of them are going to go on for more. So I think he's a really good manager, and I think just tactically as well, he's really smart. Amorim said in his press conference today about how much he rates Nuno and how he knows it's going to be a difficult game because he knows how well Nuno tactically can impact a match. So I like your manager. I like some of your players. I like Bowen. Obviously, I know Paqueta. You got a red card recently, right?
Yeah, got sent off against Liverpool for
And
he got 2 yellow cards within about 30 seconds of each other for dissent. So he got booked for dissent and got booked again for dissent and got sent off. So he's
yeah.
out for this one.
He's but I think he's a decent player as well. But like I said, I do think we should be going there and getting a win. If we don't, I'd be really, really concerned.
Will we get relegated?
Will you get relegated? You know what's funny? I made a tweet recently. I don't know why it came up on my Twitter, but it was a story from Alex Ferguson back in 2011, and he was saying about how he played West Ham in the cup, and West Ham won, and they beat us in the cup in 2011. And Fergie said someone made a comment from the West Ham team
Yeah,
or the
what
West Ham staff.
I know what you're referring to. It was Wally Downs for West Ham fans. It was Wally Downs that made the
Yeah,
comment. To was it Wes Brown or O'Shea?
yeah,
Which
Wes
one?
Brown coming on.
Yeah,
Wes Brown, yeah, pretty much saying, "Oh, you think you're gonna make a difference?" or something a bit cheeky in
yeah,
that way. And Fergie took it personally and said to him, "We're gonna relegate you at the end of the season." Something around that line. It's just something like we're gonna relegate you. And in the game in the league and at the end of the season, you guys were up, I think 2-0. And Fergie made like a change, put like Ryan Giggs at left back or something like that, and we ended up winning like I can't remember, like 5-2 or something like that.
yeah.
And you got relegated. And I remember thinking that like that is such a Fergie thing to do. That would never happen today, by the way. You know, Fergie say I can't imagine a manager saying to another team, "We're going to relegate you at the end of the season." But
Yeah.
I feel like this is that similar kind of situation where you guys probably beat us in a cup or something like that, but at the end of the season, you might actually get relegated because of how poor you guys could be. But to say, are you actually going to get relegated? I think Wolves definitely will be. I think one of the newly over promoted teams might be as well, like Leeds or Burnley. But you definitely need to step it up if you want to stay in the Prem.
Yeah. Right, let's turn our attention to the game tomorrow night at Old Trafford then. How do you see this one going, Mords?
I did a prediction of 3-1. We can't keep a clean sheet to save our life at all. We concede regularly, easily as well. Everton scored in us in like 20 minutes with 10 men. You know, like you will be able to score. But I think our attacking players have just something in them. And Bumo can create something out of nothing. Ahmad, top player. I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of clinched it in the last 5 minutes. That's something that United's done a lot this season. We also love set pieces. So don't be surprised if we get a header or something, you know, again in the second half, because we usually play better in the second half. So I'm predicting a 3-1. Like I said, I think you will definitely score, but United should, at home, they should be able to take the win.
I've seen Amorim said there's maybe a couple of players who are not available for tomorrow. Is there any whispers or rumours on the terraces as to who that might be?
He tried to keep it a secret. We know that Sesko and Maguire are not in. We
Yeah.
know definitely Cunha's back. We know it's not going to be Euro because he said that Euro's available for the game. And this is my depiction, isn't it? Because he didn't say the names, but he gave a few clues and stuff like that. So he said the players that are available, the reason why he's not saying it is because if they're not available, he'll have to change the team around. So my thought process is, one, it's not going to be a sub. It's not going to be like a MUNWHU or anything. It's going to be a starting player. And it's also going to be a player which doesn't have a direct substitute. So I don't think it'll be like Luke Shaw, because Luke Shaw can be replaced with Martinez. I don't think it'll be like Lenny or De Ligt, because we've got Mazraoui on the bench or etc. So we've got players in there that can kind of fill in those positions. I don't think it'll be a Dallo or a Dorgu, because both of them can play in that same position, so that won't have to make too much of a big change. I think it's one of the midfielders. I think it'll be Bruno or Casemiro, because the last game Bruno was holding his hamstring at the end of the game, for whatever reason it was. And I think if one of those players are out of the team, it could make a big impact. Either one of them, or the only other players I can think of is maybe Ahmad or Mbumo, because they are huge players for us. And if they're both out.
What about Xerxes? Because you're quite light in that department at the minute, aren't you?
Yeah, it could be Xerxes, but because Cunha's back, he could fill in for that position as well, and he's definitely gonna be in the team. So it might, you never know. We actually don't know, but I'm trying to like figure out who it could be. I don't think it'll be a Xerxes or a Mount or obviously Cunha. He's available. I genuinely think it's two players, by the way. Two players are a doubt. So I think one of them is one of the midfielders, Casemiro or Bruno.
I'll take any help I can get. Well, Mords, thank you so much. I appreciate you joining me. If you guys at home have enjoyed this video, please drop a like on it. I'm going to put all the links to Mords' social media, and including his YouTube channel, in the description below as well, so you can go in here and see more from himself. Subscribe to Damage Chat, myself and Mords. We'll catch you in a bit.